So a lot of parenting books and amazing videos that talk about, how do I handle my kids better? How do I deal with my kids? How do I deal with tantrums? How do I stop yelling at my kids? They always talk about your first thing is you need to stay calm. But how in the world do you stay calm when you feel everything but calm? That's what we're going to talk about today. I have a lot of practice in this, and I cannot wait to share with you what's worked for me, because I have been trying to figure this out pretty much ever since the day I became a mom. So usually when we need help with calming down, we have been triggered. So our first step kind of is to figure out our triggers and become a little bit more aware of that. Knowing your triggers will help you out in having an easier time to calm down. Now, we have some external triggers and some internal triggers. So I want you to think about some of your external triggers. Some common ones would be tantrums or angry kids. That is for sure one of mine. I am blessed with a very spirited child, so we get tantrums quite a bit. And no, they did not end in toddler years, because all of us are different, right? And some of us express our big emotions a little bit different than others. And especially when you have a child that's not neurotypical, you deal with a lot more tantrums than other parents do. And it's just part of your life. And that can be a trigger for you to feel everything but calm. Other ones that I could think of that are external triggers would be back talking or arguing. Feeling disrespected as a parent, that can be a trigger, right? That doesn't feel good. You want your child to listen because you said so. And most of the time they don't. So that can trigger us. Disobedience. You ask them to do something and they don't. Your kids fighting. If you have more than one child, your kids probably fight, no matter what age they are. And so that sibling rivalry and the fighting, that can be a trigger. And your kid being manipulative. None of us like that, right? When you can tell they're working you, especially with your external triggers, a lot of it does have to do with your childhood and the surroundings that you grew up in. If you have a history of childhood trauma, my few steps are probably not going to fix this for you. A little bit of breathing does not fix years of childhood trauma that you've suffered, because a brain that has dealt with trauma, a trauma brain, reacts differently than a healthy brain. Now, do you have to stay stuck there? No, absolutely not. I highly, highly recommend go see a counselor and get counseling. It is the best thing you can do for your whole family. You being able to handle triggers differently will make a huge difference in how you parent. Now, we talked about that these were external triggers, right? Now, you also have internal triggers. Internal triggers can be things like feeling exhausted. If you're a mom, you're probably exhausted many days, especially if you're a mom who has a baby at home or who has toddlers at home, because on top of all the parenting, you don't sleep a lot. And not sleeping a lot and having a sleep deprived brain makes your brain not function right. So another very common trigger that I know I deal with a lot is running late. For the thought of being late, that is when I start rushing. That's when I'm not a very kind mom. So I have to set myself up for success. I had to learn to give myself extra time so I don't always deal with this extra trigger of feeling behind and feeling that I'm late, because then things will just go downhill. Noise. And oh man, what do we do with that as moms? Kids are noisy, but noise can be a trigger for some of us. The toddler years, when my children were always around me, were tricky. And nap time was my saving grace, simply because I needed my brain to be able to have a break from the constant noise. So know if noise is a trigger for you, become aware of it, because then you can kind of tell, wait a minute, why am I reacting this big right now? Oh, it's because the noise is triggering me. It's not even what my kids are doing. They're happily playing. But the constant noise level that I've had for the last 2 hours is getting to my brain. And you are not a bad mom when you are getting overstimulated by your kid's noise. You just need to find some tricks to help yourself. A messy home. Some of us don't mind a mess. Some of us, it drives us crazy. If you get triggered by a messy home, become aware of that and set yourself and your family up for success when it comes to that. You will have to put some extra strategies in place to keep your home from getting too messy, because it's going to trigger you and then things will get ugly. Stress, just general stress. Being under a lot of stress, that's a major trigger for a lot of us, and it affects our mood. And then it gets very tricky to stay calm in situations. Having not enough personal space. I know a lot of moms are like, I am constantly being touched, especially moms who are nursing, right? You constantly have a baby attached to you, and then there's your toddler that hangs all over you all the time. You are triggered by that. And so now another thing happens and you just blow up and you don't know how to stay calm. And the last one that I wanted to mention that is so super important, your hormones can be an internal trigger. If you are pregnant, I mean, your hormones are going crazy for lots of parts of your pregnancy. If you are postpartum, your hormones, again, are all over the place. That will affect your mood. Be aware of it. Know that number one, that is normal. And then number two, find help to manage that. And if you need some help with medication, that's not a bad thing. You do not have to do it all and have it all together in order to be a good mom to your kids. Giving yourself grace and helping yourself is one of the best things you can do for your kids. PMS is a hormone time too, and we deal with that almost every single month, right? So know those times of the month and even just have a little awareness. Oh, I know why I'm feeling that way today. This is what's going on. And then sometimes just having awareness helps us recalibrate a little bit. Pay attention to your monthly cycle and do not pile all the birthday parties and making a meal for a mom down the street and volunteering at church and all these things in that critical week. It's okay to say some no's to save your sanity, because you know already that you're going to be easier triggered in that week. So taking some things off your pile, saying some no's, can sometimes be the biggest yes to your family, because you are alleviating stress, which is going to help you to stay calm a little easier. So those were our triggers, right? I wanted you to be aware of triggers because those are what make it tricky to stay calm. Now, I mentioned I have one very spirited child, and so we handle quite a few tantrums. It's part of our life. If you have a child who is not neurotypical, you're probably dealing with the same thing. If you have a toddler, you're probably dealing with the same thing. There's great strategies to help you with a tantrum. Not all will work for all kids, and that is not what this video is about today. The one thing that all of them have in common, every single strategy you will find out there, is for you to stay calm. When your child is having a tantrum, when your child is angry, when your child is back talking to you, all these things, your response needs to be to stay calm. Now, how in the world do you do that when you do not feel calm at all? Here's a few things you can do that can help you keep your cool. The first one, breathe and smile. Just breathe. I don't know if you've ever heard about the 4-count breath, but you breathe in for 4 counts You hold it for 4 counts. You breathe out for 4 counts. And then you pause for 4 counts. Then you take 2 normal breaths. And then you do the same thing again. And if you put a smile with that, you are now able to reset your brain. But sometimes that's not enough. Share some strategies for you, and you pick what's appropriate for the place you're at and for how old your child is. The one that will always work is breathing. Walk away. I know that sounds crazy because you're like, well, why would I walk away? I need to deal with the situation. Remember how as adults, in adult situations, we're also told oftentimes it's best to walk away. You're not losing when you walk away. This is not a battle. Do not get in the battle ring with your child. I sometimes walk away and I will tell him, Mommy needs a minute. I'll be back in a little bit when I'm calm. I'm not calm right now. It's a great thing to model to your kids that first, before you're going to continue on, you're going to calm yourself down. Now, if you are a praying person, that is what I do quite a bit during those times when I take a time out. I go and pray because that works very, very well for me. God is bigger than I am. Having that prayerful conversation helps me reset my brain. Now, if you're not a prayerful person, you can visualize yourself in that time. Close your eyes. Closing your eyes is very effective. Calms your brain too. Close your eyes and visualize yourself as calm. Picture yourself what you look like when you're calm. Fun fact, it calms your brain down. Another thing that we love to do as a whole family, it works for more than just me, so this one is a very good tip, is we turn on music. And if you feel like it, even have a little dance party. It can completely switch the atmosphere. And then when you're calm, you can go deal with what happened. So turning on music, it can be soothing music, it can be dance music. You do you, you know what music you need, and that's what you can use to reset yourself. During that time, make yourself aware of what triggered you. So really think about what is it? What was that trigger? So when you're in that situation and you need to calm down, become aware of what is triggering me right now. Am I really triggered because my child made a mess right now? Or am I triggered because I'm hungry and my child made a mess? Am I really triggered because I haven't slept more than 3 hours a night? So just become aware, because that often helps you reset too. It can help you change your expectations for the rest of your day. You do not have to win it all. It's okay to let it go. Oftentimes, one really good thing can be call a friend real quick. I know calling can be tricky these days, maybe text a friend, but you may really want to talk to someone right then. That can really reset yourself, even if it's just 5 minutes. And you don't even have to talk about the problem if you don't want to, but it can switch your thoughts. It can switch you out of that state that you're in right now. So talk to a friend, drink some water. Sounds crazy, but being dehydrated can trigger you. Just the act of you drinking water is calming to your body. So go and get a glass of water while you walk away. Chew some gum. I know that one sounds wonky. I've tried it because I was curious and I was like, man, that really works. So as near as I can figure out, scientists think that the chewing action gets extra blood to our brain. We do know it's great for focus. It's also very calming. Try that out. When you're upset, go get a piece of gum out and start chewing it as you're breathing and closing your eyes. You do not have to leave your toddler to do so. Just put some gum in your purse and you have it in the grocery store. Close your eyes, breathe as they're freaking out, and then you can deal with it when you're calm. Because remember, that's the key. If you are at home, you have older kids, and you are taking your time away from them before you deal with them, write down what you're feeling. Write down what's making you angry. And the last thing, one main thing my family does to help us with big emotions is we use essential oils. Aromatherapy is known to be very effective with our emotions. And so we use all kinds of essential oils to help us with calming, help us feel more joyful, help us feel less anxious. And when my kids are calm and I am calm, then we deal with the actual problem. So I'm really hoping that you'll try some of these out. So remember, depending on your situation, depending on how old your kids are, you pick what's appropriate, what works for you. And then when you're calm, now you get to engage in dealing with the tantrums, dealing with the back talk, and all these fun things. Disciplining your child is tough some days, and it is the best thing we can do when we do it well and we do it right. I love the concept of positive discipline or peaceful parenting. It makes a huge difference. And I love so many authors out there that do such great work in this. Dr. Laura Markham is definitely one of my favorites. This is one of my favorite books. As you can tell, it's all tabbed up. It has lots of notes because I refer to this thing quite a bit. So if you haven't read it yet, if you don't have time to read, check it out on Audible. If you are someone who wants to mark it up like I did, make sure you grab it. Stay calm, mamas. You've got this.